Hello guys, this is CannibalChess, and in today's video I thought I would go over the wayward queen attack. It's an opening for white that I've been seeing a lot of lower rated players play. So I thought I would just go over it. If y'all don't know what it is, just show y'all what it is and how to defend against it. So it starts after e4, you go e5, and then here they play queen h5, and they're going after this weak e4 pawn. They're also going after this weak f7 pawn. And so here there are about 4 moves that you can play that are okay moves. You can defend against this attack with like 4 different moves. You could play knight to c6, you could also play queen e7, you could play d6, or you could even play knight f6. So I'm just going to quickly go through all of those different lines, just show y'all how to get an advantage in any of those situations here. So let's just start with knight to c6. So if you play knight to c6, you're just defending the pawn, but the queen is still attacking this f7 pawn. So the ton here might continue with something like bishop to c4 and then hit the weak f7 pawn twice. And then here you're actually fine just pushing g6. And it might look kind of weird because now you're making these pawns kind of backwards pawns a little bit, but it's actually fine for black here. And so the ton might continue by playing something like queen to f3 and then hit the pawn twice again. And then here you can actually develop your knight to f6. So you're developing your pieces while also defending is the idea for black here. And so that's why black's position is just a little bit better. Your opponent might continue with something like knight to e2 because they can't develop it to f3 because the queen's there, just getting ready to castle. And then here you could play something like d6, just creating a pawn structure. So your position is basically solid here. There's no more strange attacks from your opponent that they could play. And then after your opponent castles, you could play something like bishop. I don't know, bishop to g4 is a perfectly fine move. So you're pressuring the queen even more. You're also hitting this knight. So this is just a much better position for black in general. And then after the queen moves to something like b3, going after this weak pawn, and then also hitting the f7 pawn again. This looks like it's a pretty bad situation for black. But if you're a toe, then you know very well that you could just play knight to a5. And it looks kind of weird because your knight's on the rim of the board. It's actually perfectly safe. It's better for black because now you're threatening the queen. You're also protecting this b7 pawn. And you're also threatening this bishop, which is the only thing protecting this knight. So if the ton here tries to go for some sneaky idea of something like bishop takes on f7, thinking, well, now you can't castle and you can't take my bishop, then they're actually wrong, because after the queen moves, because you don't want to get captured, and the queen can't stay on this diagonal because all of these squares are covered by the toe's pieces. They can't also take b7, so they have to move off the diagonal, and once they move, then you're just going to pick up the bishop, and then your position will be totally winning. So that is the first line that I was going to show y'all, and I'm just going to show y'all the d6 line next. So if they play the queen h5 move, you can play d6 as well. And this one is almost the exact same. You still go bishop c4, g6, and then the queen goes to f3. You can play knight to f6. They play knight at e2. But then here you can actually play this idea of going c6 instead of going for the bishop attack. Now the bishop attack will still work. You can still play this bishop move, and then you might still get them playing that. But this is a different idea. If you don't want to go for that, you can push c6 because you pushed d6, and so now you can even play d5 at some point after you get your pieces a little bit more developed. So that's just a different idea. And here the third move you can go into is you can play queen e7. And if you play queen e7, then they could play something like knight to f3, going after this e4 pawn or e5 pawn twice, because now you're guarding this pawn already. They don't really want to go bishop c4 now because it's basically useless, so they're trying a different attack. And here you can just play d6 And then if they go over here and then try and hit this pawn, and then they're thinking, well, I'm just going to play bishop to c4 next move and then hit it 3 times, then you can continue by just playing g6, just kick away the queen would work. You could also play h6 would work as well. Either one of those moves would be fine to continue the game. So, and now I'm just going to show you all the last move that you can do, and this one's actually pretty interesting because it's the one that it's not on the top 3 best moves, but it is one that can get white into a lot of trouble if they're not careful. So here you can play knight f6, and this does give away the e5 pawn. They can take the e5 pawn, but it's actually still basically an even game, and the computer's even saying that's a little bit better for black here even, because now you can play bishop e7. You don't really want to play queen e7 in this position. If you play queen e7, then the queen will just take, and then after you retake, then the computer's actually saying that white will be better by about +2. So you want to go ahead and just develop your pieces, play bishop e7, get your pieces out, and then after your opponent continues with, this would be the best move in the situation, just going knight c3, then you can play something like knight c6 and then kick away the queen, and then your pieces are just much more developed. So after the queen moves, then you're just going to castle, and then your position is much better in this line. I mean, the computer's saying it's almost even, but I'm sure most people would want to be playing as black in this situation. So yeah, that was I know it's kind of a short video, but that was my explanation of the wayward queen attack. I hope y'all learned something new from this video, and now you know how to defend against those ton players that you meet today, or you might meet a few days from now, that try and play the wayward queen attack and catch you off balance. And if you did find out something new from this video, if this video helped you in any way, please consider subscribing to the channel, and thanks for watching.